with Sherry is a bariatric podcast talking about weight loss surgery. I am not a licensed professional. Any views and or opinions expressed in the show are those of the speakers and do not reflect the bariatric community as a whole. Always reach out to a professional with any medical issues you are experiencing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unzipped with Sherry, with obviously yours truly. I am Sherry. I am so excited for this episode because our guest is going to be Mike, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know Mike on a personal level. I met him through TikTok. He had the surgery in July of 2022, and his transformation is absolutely incredible. And the one thing that we really bonded over is he is such in a great place with his mindset and where he is. He's extremely motivating and inspiring. I can't wait for you guys to meet him. We're going to talk all about his origin story, his life up until right now. So those of you who are watching live, make sure that you chime in, ask questions, leave comments, anything that you want to know about Mike. He is truly an open book as well. And so I can't wait. And so Mike, I hope you're excited because we're about to get unzipped. We all have a story on how we got here, right? So for me, I used to be over 350 pounds until one day I made the single decision that I wanted change. Weight loss surgery has saved my life, and now I am here for you. I want to hear your story.
You know, the one that happened during that before and after picture? It's time to unzip. What's your story?
Hello. How are you?
Hey, I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Number one, I am so excited. And I was just telling you before the show, I've never started the show with comments already coming through because you have so much love and support, and I am totally here for it. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and hang out with me for the next hour. And I appreciate you.
I wouldn't be anywhere else right now.
Good answer. See, I like where this is going already. So for those of you who do not know the amazing being that is Mike yet, I thought that we can start off a little bit by talking about the origin story and what Mike was like before everything began.
100%. So
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. My origin story starts when I was actually really young. I was the kid growing up that had like zero fat. I had like a six pack until I was like 10, 11, 12. And then I slowly started just gaining weight and quickly turned into that kid that was, picked last in gym class and wasn't really welcomed on sports teams and didn't really have a whole lot of friends and spent more time at home playing video games than going outside and getting that fresh air. And that escalated quickly into my high school years. High school was supposed to be the best 4 years of my life. They were probably the worst 4 years of my life. Obesity set in hard. Gym class got harder. And kids are mean. I went through days and weeks of being extremely abused and bullied and picked on, teased. I had people putting stuff in my lockers and calling me names. And I even had one situation where I was actually like beaten up by several people behind a dumpster and left there because I was the fat kid. And that puts a lot of trauma and stress on any kid, any teen going through. And skip a couple of years, I'm going to college. Put my high school years behind me, and I said I'm going to try and change my life, and I chose the path of law enforcement. I went into police foundations at Mohawk College up here in Canada, and I did my 2 years, and I volunteered, and I put myself out there, and I still remained the obese older teen. I was still the biggest guy in my entire class every year, no matter what. But as I was growing up, those mean kids became adults and started realizing, I wasn't picked on as much. I wasn't treated differently. A lot started to change, and, my mindset got more positive, and then I couldn't get a job. I applied to police services and I couldn't find work, and I fell into this funk and got bigger and bigger. And then I jumped on the bandwagon of doing all these fad diets. And me and you talked about all the fad diets. Like, I did everything. I've done like isogenics and shakes and different workout routines, and I've had personal trainers. And I would lose a bit of weight and I would gain a bit of weight, and it just nothing was working.
Yeah. I do have a question for you, though, not to cut you off, because you and I were very similar in how we were. I mean, you had it a lot worse than I did because you had physical bullying. Mine was just words. But I had the same attitude when I was going into college, that I purposely picked a school that was like 40, 50 miles away from home because I didn't want to be around any of the same people that I went to high school with. I'm like, I'm getting a clean slate. It's going to be a brand new me. I'm going to be the popular one, all this stuff. But like for you, did you find yourself, even though you were removed from those people, like the damage had been done to your psyche and to your self-esteem? Like, did that carry with you into college? Because I know for me, even though it was a brand new playing field, my insecurity was so low that it didn't make a difference.
I still carry it today. Everything that I've experienced, everything that was said to me and how I was spoken to and how I was treated is always in the back of my head, and it will be until the day I die. And not to jump to like, corny conclusions or corny statements, but everything that happened to me my entire life has made me the person that I am today. And I consider myself a genuine, loving, caring, grown-ass man who likes to take care of people and show people the positivity and the happiness in the world, because I didn't have that from my social gathering for my entire life.
Yeah.
And, I kind of have to look back at all those horrible experiences, and maybe I wouldn't be the Mike sitting here today with the success that I'm having with my health and wellness and fitness right now if I hadn't gone through all that in my past.
I agree 1,000%. And, people, because I'm 8 years out, and people always ask, like, would you do anything differently? Do you have any regrets? Because a lot of people say they wish they did it sooner. But for me, I'm like, I don't have any regrets, because had I done it sooner, or had the circumstances been different, where I am in this moment today and the people in my circle and the people that I'm connected to, they wouldn't exist. Like, everything that has happened up until this point would be so vastly different. Yes, there's a chance that it could be far better than it is now, but it could be far worse than it is now. But we are in the moment that we're in now because of our experiences.
Yep. I preach, live in the moment. I'm a huge believer of everything happens for a reason. And, to sit here and be like, do I wish I did it sooner? No, I did it right when I was meant to. I did it right when I was meant to, because if I didn't, all the amazing people that are commenting in the chat right now, I would never have met them. I wouldn't know who you are, and you probably wouldn't know or care about who I was, because everything lined up when it needed to, and here we are.
So one thing that I loved about you, and we had our like little pre-chat, is you are the only other person that I've known so far that watched the same documentary that I did and got on the train. So tell us what the documentary was, and tell me a little bit about your experience with it.
Okay, so I was with I was living alone at the time, and I was fat, sick, and nearly dead in my own mind. And I was scrolling through Netflix, and I hated documentaries. I hated anything with health and wellness, because it just made me feel bad about myself. But I saw this documentary by Mr. Joe Cross, and it was called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's a documentary about a guy that turns to juicing fruits and vegetables and does a juice fast. And he goes through his doctor and all of his blood work and testing, and he has all these issues and health concerns. And you watch him go from this big person into this small person, and you see his health issues go from these big health issues to non-existent, and his weight from a high weight to a low weight. And I watched his documentary, and like I felt sick to my stomach, because I'm like, there's this guy who just said, I'm done. I'm taking control. I'm going to do it, and nothing's going to stop me. It's going to be hard, but whatever. That day, I jumped on my bicycle and I biked to Canadian Tire, and I bought the exact juicer from the documentary, and I biked it all the way home. And then I went to the grocery store and I got all the ingredients and I started juicing. And at that time, I was 237 pounds.
Okay.
And I juiced on and off all the way down to about 215. So I lost well over 100 pounds, almost 120 pounds.
Wait, you started, what was the starting weight? Because you said 2 something, but I think you meant 3 something.
Of 327 pounds.
Okay, you started at 327. Okay.
Down to around 215. And yeah, I felt amazing. My blood work was fantastic. The color of my skin and the clarity in my eyes, I just felt like a new person. And I'm like, the whole entire time I'm doing this, I'm like, yeah, take that, Joe Cross. Like I'm doing just as good as you, if not better. Oh, look at me. And it got easier and easier not consuming solid food. And I would do anywhere between 3 and 21 day consecutive juice fasts in a row, with like a day or two of solid food eating in between. And so my overall experience initially was great. It was the first lifestyle change that I didn't consider a fad diet at the time.
Right.
Looking back now,
It's a fad diet.
It's not sustainable. It's a fad
diet.
I
think, I think if people do like a fast, like a 7-day fast to kind of jumpstart everything, but then, because I know that there are people who still juice in the morning, but then they have a sensible diet like moving forward. The reason that I love that you had success with it is because I watched the exact same documentary. It was like 2012. The next day, my entire fridge was filled with Swiss chard and collard greens and kale and spinach and celery. And my husband and I did a juice fast for 10 days straight. We had 13 or 14 people on the train with us. We were all doing this together. Every single one of them lost 10 to 15 pounds in the 10 days. And Sherry lost 1. And I'm like, I am literally the biggest person in this group. I thought I was going to smoke everybody in the water. But no, I lost 1 pound. So for me, that was like the catalyst that knew that there was something internally for me. But I love that you did have results from it, because I will say my skin was better. I felt healthier. I felt cleaner. Like I had more energy. Like, so there's a lot of health benefits to it, but I don't suggest, juicing for long, long periods of time.
No. And like doing a cleanse or a detox, I'm a huge supporter of, that 2 to 3 day cleanse, detox your body, kind of do like a generalized reset in the healthiest way. Yes. But doing it long term definitely had effects on me.
Yeah.
That weren't good. But juicing here and there, making sure you're getting those micronutrients in, is very difficult, especially now being, a post-op bariatric patient when your stomach's tiny, trying to get everything in. Juicing and shakes and stuff has been, it's been huge since surgery.
Well, so obviously you lost like 115 pounds. And I think you had said it was like in a 6.5 month period without the surgery on your own. Obviously you're sitting here on a bariatric podcast, which means you had bariatric surgery. So I think it's safe to assume that something happened after all this.
So I was actually out at the casino after I had done my juice fasting. And this is why, like, those of you that know me know that I don't use goal weights. I have goal feelings. Because I was juice fasting, I hit my goal weight and I stopped. I went right back to regular food, and my diet kind of resorted back to the way that it was, ingesting kind of like whatever I wanted during the day. And I remember being out at the casino with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we were walking out of the casino back to the car. And I was coming up to the car, and my eyes rolled back, and I passed out, and I went off the hood of the car, and I woke up in a merge. They had taken me to the emergency room and said that my gallbladder was an entire ball of sludge and was about to rupture, and I would need surgery within the next 7 to 10 days and have it removed. So what happened is juicing for so long, your body takes all the micronutrients, the caloric intake, the vitamins, the minerals, and whatever it doesn't use, it just flushes out. It's all liquids. Your gallbladder doesn't have to work if you've been juice fasting long enough. I hit my goal weight. I went back to eating burgers and fries and just junk, trashy food because I was celebrating from hitting my goal weight. And my gallbladder tried to work in overdrive to keep up with everything going in, and it got plugged, and it literally turned to a ball of sludge. And they said that the gallbladder attack I had, they thought was a heart attack because I came in and out of consciousness, screaming, grabbing my chest, and I had pain through my shoulder and my jaw and all through my back. And after putting me on like medical steroids and pain medications to calm me down, they realized that when I was at the casino, I had a big platter of onion rings, freshly deep fried. And if you've ever had a gallbladder attack, greasy and deep fried foods is a big no-no.
Yeah, I've had one.
Yeah, I had my gallbladder removed just over a week later. And I was advised by my doctor that my life would have to drastically change by force because your gallbladder is responsible for storing bile from your liver to help break down fat. And without it, weight gain is most likely going to happen. And so one thing led to another over time, and now I am a post-op bariatric patient.
So walk me through it a little bit. At what point did you kind of have like a enough is enough moment, like whether it was like the lowest point of your life, or did something like happen for you to be like, I'm done, I need to look at other options?
So yeah, when about 7 years ago, I started my current career as a correctional officer, and I was going into I literally was tossed directly into the worst possible mindset-based law enforcement in North America. And not to mention, I was shift working. I was working 12-hour night shifts. My eating habits were all over the place. When I started there, I was about 255 pounds, and that was after having my gallbladder removed at around 215. And in my first year of shift work and that job, my mindset completely crashed, and I gained 72 pounds my first 12 months on that job. Over the last 7 years, between being assaulted and having time off work and dealing with my own issues around the career that I chose at the time,
right,
my weight climbed and climbed and climbed. And when I was around 330 pounds, I met my wife. And I just remember it was like the first time in my life that I was accepted and truly loved and cared for how I was, after spending at that point, 28, 29 years hating myself and not showing myself any true self-love or self-worth. And we got married September 2021, and I got married at 360 pounds. And I remember all my groomsmen, we went and got our suits fitted and everything and ordered them all in. And then when they finally all came in, I was the only person that needed to have their entire suit resized because I had gained weight in just that period of few weeks. And the groom suit didn't fit. That was kind of the first big trigger for me, being like, what am I doing to myself? Skip past a few weeks. We went to Jamaica on our honeymoon. I enjoyed myself, ate what I want, drank what I want, came back and had a doctor's appointment. And the doctor sat me down and said, you have fatty liver disease.
Oh, yeah.
Your liver function is so low and we have genuine concerns. Okay, so I started on a strict diet. I was eating the same caloric intake, the same foods over and over again all week long. And for a matter of months, my weight was fluctuating 25 to 30 pounds a month down. And then I would gain 30 to 35 pounds up.
No
But my
shit.
diet and exercise never
Was
changed.
staying.
Consistent. And what the doctor officially told me was your body is incapable of regulating your metabolism. Your liver's working so hard to create bile to break down fat to meet your lifestyle, and then your liver's shutting down. You're not having like any liver function, and then you gain all the way back because your body no longer is creating bile, and instead of burning the fat, it's just storing it and holding on to everything it could get. And he sat me down and he said, "Listen, you're 30. If you want to have any quality of life or be alive by 35, you need to get this sorted, and your body's working so hard against you. You need to consider bariatric surgery." And I just remember going home and like bawling my face off, talking to my wife, being like, "I can't believe I let myself get here. Literally, I'm 30 and have the health issues of someone that's in their 70s." And you know, just this mental battle. And I'm like, the doctor wants me to look at bariatric surgery, like weight loss surgery. And like, I've researched it before. I kind of think that I want to do this, but I'm scared. And my wife looked at me and said, "Call your doctor tomorrow. We're going to sit here. We're going to do our research right now, but you're going to call tomorrow and you're going to get a referral, because I can see you want this. This isn't the first time you've talked about it. And now this is something you need. And, I love you and I want you to be around and I want us to have a long life together. And I support you 1,010%. So the next morning I called my doctor, got a same day appointment, and I got my referral to the bariatric clinic that afternoon.
Now I'm curious because you're in Canada, and I'm curious what the healthcare like requirements are like up there versus here. Like I know here in the States, depending on your insurance company, it could be 6 months to a year of certain programs and there's certain protocols. But like if somebody's like watching this in Canada right now who's thinking about having it, can you walk us a little bit of like what the process is usually like for you guys?
Yeah, so you have to have a referral to a bariatric clinic from your
Okay.
family doctor. I know in Ontario, it's either from your family doctor or from a clinic called the Wharton Clinic, which is pretty much like an obesity clinic. Once you get the referral, you'll get called by the bariatric clinic, and they're going to go over your height, your weight, your BMI, all the stats to make sure that you qualify for potential bariatric surgery. They want you to have a BMI over like 35, certain height and weight, all these boxes they have to kind of tick off. And when I was going through for surgery, they said the average wait time is between pretty much 12 and 24 months.
No shit.
Yeah, because it was during COVID, they were shutting down.
Okay.
There's no surgeries going on. And with the bariatric clinic, you have to go through several stages of testing and ultrasounds and blood works and sit through multiple 2 to 3 hour online classes and be present. And they want to make sure that you kind of know what you're getting into. As far as cost, it's covered under Canadian healthcare. I didn't have to pay a dime personally. I know certain other provinces you have to pay for certain things in the bariatric clinics, but the surgery is usually covered. But it can be a long process. And I know for me, I made such a drastic mindset change and a mindset shift when I got accepted into the bariatric clinic that I said, I'm going to break stats. I'm going to be so proactive because I should have been this proactive my whole entire life, and I need to make up for it now. So I was told myself around 18 months to get my surgery is kind of what they ballparked me at.
Okay.
8 months and 1 day I had my surgery. I was proactive. I joined every class. I checked in with my clinics and saying, hey, if there's a cancellation, I'm ready. if I can skip and get to this process faster,
Mm-hmm.
you call me. I'll leave work. I'll leave home. I'll fly back from vacation. I don't care what the situation is. Like, I want this. And they ended up telling me that during that process, I skipped like 40 plus people
Really?
that were not being proactive and were not showing up to classes, or were skipping doctor's appointments and getting bounced back. So it is a process in Canada that's based on first come, first serve, but you need to make sure that you're serving and you're showing up to your appointments and you're staying proactive, because if you
Yeah.
don't and they see that, you're not paying to be here, so we'll let someone else take your spot.
Yeah. So I have a question, because in just the fact that you did the juicing fast for, you said it like at one point like 21 days.
Yep.
I don't know about you. I personally feel that discipline is far harder than the bariatric surgery, only because like when I did the juicing fast, there's zero solid food whatsoever. You're literally just drinking juice. You have your full stomach intact. You have not had bariatric surgery. I personally felt that because I was able to go through that even for 10 days, when it came time for like the post-op diet, I felt like it was a lot easier because I've been in that mindset before. And so
Yeah.
as somebody like you who was extremely disciplined during that phase, what was it like going into surgery this time around? Like, how, because you've been there where you've lost it all doing this, but then it all came back. Like, how did you go into this time around that it's going to be different?
See, and this is where I'm going to see some of the comments in the chat coming in for sure, because I thought the pre-op diet and the Opti fast, and I found it to be very easy, because I knew in my head I can still have 2 cups of vegetables a day. That's a solid food. That's something that's going to fill my stomach. The first 24 hours was difficult, but even with juice fasting, the first 24 hours, your body's kind of being like, hey, dude, what are you doing with your life? But I found that the pre-op diet to be very, very easy. I genuinely enjoyed the taste of OptiFast. It reminded me of like Coronation instant breakfast that I had when I was a kid. I mixed like decaf coffee in with it. I mixed like Mio juices in with the vanillas and made like fruit flavored smoothies. And
Yeah.
I play with it. I had fun.
Yeah, and I don't want.
Post-op,
Yeah, and hold on. I want to address things like, so I don't want people to think that we thought that the pre-op or the immediate post-op was easy, because that's not the case. This is
no.
it's extremely, extremely hard. However, because we have done things like that in the past where it was nothing but celery and apple juice or whatever for periods of time, that I felt at the time was far harder for me than going through because at least with the post-op diet, like I could have broth and I can have all of these things that like yogurt and like, milk.
Yes.
So I felt that this was a cakewalk in comparison to having to do that freaking juice fast for 10 days. So I don't want anyone to think that we're making it minuscule or saying that it's not hard. It is very, very hard.
And you know what? Like, I couldn't agree more. And I'm going to use like an analogy here when it comes to like going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym and you walk for half an hour for the first time ever, it's hard. And then you do it for a week and then it gets easier. Now you're doing it on and off for 6 months. Walking at the gym for half an hour becomes like just secondhand knowledge. And then you don't do it for a little bit. When you come back 6 months later and you walk on the treadmill the first time, it'll never ever seem as bad as it was the first time you ever walked on the treadmill. And that's the way that I look at it with like the OptiFast and the pre-op diet, because I did, I want to probably say 7 or 8 10-day juice fasts, and I did 2 or 3 21-day long juice fasts. So I did some extreme long-term liquid fasting before I lost my gallbladder. So the mindset is what I felt was easier for me, because the adjustment period, getting used to just the pre-op liquid diet, to me, with my personal experiences, was easier than I know what a lot of people have had to go through. I know my dad's going to be having surgery soon. He has his
Mm-hmm.
pre-op actually coming up in the beginning of March, and he is terrified because he's never fasted a day in his life, I don't think. And he's like, I am going to be having a really hard time. And I said, well, I'll be there with you, and I'll make sure I keep your mindset on track. And support system was everything. And the support system I have, I'm very blessed because everyone that I have in my family and in my household is like nothing but extremely supportive. And when I did my OptiFast, I was in a really, really tough spot. I was at the cottage with friends and family, and they're drinking and they're barbecuing and doing burgers and ribs. And I'm sitting in my hammock drinking OptiFast down by the lake, just trying to stay away from the barbecue smell. And I did that for 7 days.
So for people who are like me, who's never heard of OptiFast, is that like a specific protein drink, or what is OptiFast?
So OptiFast is a 4 shake a day pre-op diet.
Okay.
Those 4 shakes total 900 calories.
Okay.
So you go from eating whatever you wanted, then you hit your pre-op, you're down to 900 calories. You have chocolate or vanilla, and they are pasty and they are dry and they don't really have a lot of great taste, and they're chalky. They don't blend that well. And OptiFast is designed to hit your stomach and expand to make you feel full. And they do that because dropping down to that 900 to 1,000 calories with your 2 cups of vegetables is designed to reduce the fat and weight around your liver and other organs. So when they do the surgery, it's easier to hold that stuff out of the way.
Okay, so Kim wrote in that she can mail me a package. And you know what, Kim? If you want to mail me a package to support my Canadian program, I will do it. I will do it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it well, but how long is it for?
I had to do mine for 10 days.
I'll definitely do it for a day.
I think you should just have one and then we'll talk.
Just no, but you know what? If you guys had to suffer, I want to show my support and solidarity, and I am willing. Because here's the thing, and people get really, really angry when I say this. The program that I was on for bariatric surgery, I did not have a pre-op diet. I did not have to do shakes or count calories or do anything. My pre-op diet literally consisted of the day before surgery. I was on clear liquids only, chicken broth, water, sugar-free popsicles. That was it, just the day before surgery. So I feel that I was very blessed in that aspect. And I know it makes people angry, but because I didn't have to do that, I want to be able to, understand you guys and where you guys are coming from and understand how hard it really was beforehand. So you know what, Kim? Send it over. I'll drink one. And then I'll even maybe we'll do it on the show and we'll drink it together.
Perfect. I'll come back up and drink them with you.
Okay, good. I like it. So I have a question for you because of the size that you were, I know sometimes that will help differentiate between whether you're going to have the sleeve or the bypass. Did you have a conversation ahead of time? Why did your doctor choose the sleeve and not bypass?
So leading into my pre-op, I actually sat down with the bariatric team and they confirmed that I was going to have the bypass.
Oh.
And I knew I was going to have the bypass up until I woke up with the sleeve.
Really?
So it was actually kind of cool because when I went into the OR, the surgeon met me outside the OR. I'm hooked up to all the machines and I'm being pushed on this gurney. And he's like, Mike, right? I'm like, yeah, I hope so. This is the right spot, right? Okay, cool. He's like, so this is your last choice. I have you coming in for the gastric bypass. Do you want the sleeve or do you still want the bypass? And all I said to him was, I came here for the bypass. Give me the bypass. Perfect. So I went into the OR. They put me under, cut me open. And then they did a measurement of the density, thickness, and weight of my abdominal wall with the space that was available in front of my organs. And they determined during the surgery that the actual sleeve valve, or the bypass valve, I guess, going across, that there would be too much weight and pressure in that spot of my abdomen that it could cause complications during my recovery. And he told me that if there was any risk at all in his eyes of complications during or after the surgery, that he would either cancel or switch the operation. So he switched to the gastric sleeve about halfway through. And I still couldn't be happier, because they're both very, very successful surgeries if you're using the tool effectively the way that they're designed to be used, right? But yeah,
Which is it's nice to meet people who have the sleeve, because I've had a lot, like I've had some people on the show that have had sleeve, but the vast majority of people are RNY, or like the, you know what I'm talking about. I'm a hot mess. But it's nice to talk to people that have had the sleeve, because I do think that overall there's less complications. Doesn't mean that there's not complications. It just means that there's usually less side effects. You don't have to, on average, deal with dumping syndrome or vitamin deficiencies, which is definitely a plus for the sleeve. But for me, on the opposite end, the con is definitely the acid reflux is really bad. I don't know where they are right now. I still live with Tums on a daily basis. You're smirking because I have a feeling that you don't deal with that shit at all. I'm going to smack you in the face.
I had prescribed medication for like acid before my surgery, and I have not taken a Tums or a stomach pill besides what was prescribed for my pre-op since my surgery.
I literally want to high five your face right now.
Right there.
Well, good for you, man. Good for you. That's all I got to say. Moving on. No, I think that is awesome though. And you know what I have noticed over the last year, when I was doing all of those challenges and I was eating a very, very strict diet, I have noticed it has gone down dramatically by not having certain foods in my diet. So I'm curious, which is interesting. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second because we haven't talked about this. But when you met your wife, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you ready? When you met your wife, you were at your highest weight. Or towards your highest weight.
Almost, yeah.
So she fell in love with 300 something or maybe 280 pound Mike. Was there ever a concern at some point during the surgery process as you were losing weight that either of you felt or were worried that the relationship was going to change?
That I'm aware of or that I believe, no. She's always been my biggest supporter. She's my best friend. And she told me from the start, she's like, whether you're Big Mike or Little Mike, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm going nowhere. And I've always had the mindset that up until I met her, like, nobody can love me for who I am. That's not possible. Like, who could love someone in this physical and mental state? It's not a chance. And she proved me wrong. Right. So the only thing that I thought would genuinely change is like, if I didn't make it through the surgery was a concern. Right. But as far as our relationship changing, we both talked about how much better it was actually going to become, because there was a lot of things that we both said we wanted to do and try, but it's like, I can't physically do that.
Right.
You know, I would love to go on vacation and go ziplining, but I'm 100 pounds above the max restricted weight. So I'll never be able to do that. You know, if we have kids in the future, I'll never be able to be the dad that's playing with his kids on the ground or like being on the sports teams. I couldn't do it. And she always sat down and said, you know what, like, you're losing the weight, you're having the surgery, like everything that you've ever thought of or dreamt of doing, you're going to do. And I just said, yeah, I am.
And this is what I love. And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of couples and there's a lot of people that don't have that strong support system from their partners. You and I have bonded that we've both been extremely blessed that our partners were 100% on board. They joined us with it. You know, I mean, Eric didn't eat my specific diet, obviously, but he was 100% on board with it. And on the days that I was struggling, he was the one that was, pumping the mindset into me and being like, you need to suck it up and you need to get on the other side of this or whatever. And you and I have already talked, we're already going to become best friends, and you and Eric are going to probably take off and do your own thing and just leave me and
Zaddy.
But you already told me and wife, you're going to get along very, very well.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just looking at the comments, like everyone that I've met in the bariatric community so far, we all got together because they wanted to meet me and I wanted to meet them. And then by the end of the weekend, I'm pretty sure they're all like, oh yeah, Mike is great, but like Alyssa, like we should get really together and hang. Oh, she's awesome. I know you guys all kind of like her a bit more than me, but that's okay. I accept it.
It's probably going to happen. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
She and I are going to become besties.
Oh, Heather. Thanks, Heather.
So this leads me to question number 2 or 3 or 4, wherever we're at right now. I don't even know. One of the things that's interesting in social media is that there is such a huge community for bariatric right now, which I did not know existed 8 years ago. And even today, it still blows me away how many people are in this community and, supporting each other. But I did a deep dive on my show months ago about the history of bariatric surgery. And because I used to think it was interesting that there was way more women on social media. But when I did my deep dive, I realized that like 70% of bariatric surgeries are women. So yes, it makes sense that more women are posting about it. But the guys that were doing it, the percentage of that 30% is very, very small on social media. Like, I think it's slightly getting better. We have some more guys that are making more of a presence, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or the Facebook groups. But I ask all of the guys that come on the show, like, why do you think that men in general are not as vocal about bariatric surgery?
To me, it's an easy question to answer because I've always had this mindset, and there's going to be a lot of men and women that might disagree with me, and that's perfectly okay because it's just my opinion. But men are born and raised to be strong, to hide their feelings, to hide their emotions, to be the alpha individual, to be this big tough guy. And to be vulnerable is not acceptable. But at the same point, every single guy I've ever met in my entire life just wishes they had more information before something happened. But unless you're a man that you can relate to going through the same thing that you want to go through, how are you going to find that information?
Right.
And, we talked about this. I work in a career where my mindset is very cold-hearted and direct. Like being a correctional officer dealing with, convicted individuals, I have to be the strong, the direct, the firm, the fair, the friendly, but like consistent. And when I'm at home, I'm making sure that I'm taking care of my home and making sure my family's taken care of, although I don't need to because my wife's awesome and independent. I genuinely feel that men in the bariatric community or any community with social media have a harder time breaking down that barrier of actually posting that first video and getting started because they feel like it's going to like demasculate them and like make them feel like they're not tough or they're not the macho man or the individual they're supposed to be because they're sharing their feelings, they're being vulnerable. When I was starting my journey, I had a hard time finding anybody in the bariatric community. Nonetheless, I could not find another man doing any types of video or content creation or influencing about weight loss unless you were already this super jack guy in the gym talking about his fit program.
Right.
And it was really difficult because I had to talk to a lot of women and family and friends about their experiences to try and put together my own mindset of what it was going to be like for me, but none of which I could relate to. And I started my channel to hold myself accountable, and I wanted to create videos and photos for myself from my perspective, for me to look back on, for nobody else. It was for me. It was a very selfish endeavor when I first started. And I have gotten hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails and DMs from men and from women, like thanking me, like, Mike, thank you for getting emotional in that video and showing us the real side of you and being vulnerable and talking about your experiences. And, you know, my husband wouldn't be doing what he's doing now and trying to better his health if he didn't see you tearing up in that video that he felt the same way on. And I've always been that type of person that hides his feelings, and I'll be the person that cries in the background, or I will take my time when I need it to be emotional in my own space. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I need to change everything about myself for this journey, because I want to become a different Mike. I want to become a different person. I want to change my lifestyle, and I want to change my mindset.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to change my mindset, I need to change all of it. And so I said, I'm not hiding anything. I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to share everything, because I spent so long desperately looking for genuine information on the journey that I wanted to take and what I was going to experience, and I couldn't find it.
And that's one thing that I really do admire about you is when you think back on your history, like in your origin story, and being like mentally and emotionally and at times physically abused and constantly beaten down. I do think that those events did help prepare you to have a career as a corrections officer, because I feel like when you've gone through that as a child or in your youth, you do create this shell around you. Like you do create this hardened exterior. You're crying as a weakness. You can't show emotion, because if you show the enemy your emotion, then you're going to become vulnerable. And I think that's something that you and I heavily relate on, because I've been like that my entire life. I've had people ask me if I was in law enforcement, because apparently I have a demeanor. My husband says I have a raging RBF face 24/7. I can't help it. I don't know how to fix it. But one thing, the point of this is I'm giving you credit, is you have found a way to find balance, to be able to lack the empathy and have the hardened exterior when you need it, when you are at work. But you've also been able to kind of flip the switch when you are removed from your outside and not bring it home with you, and be able to be more vulnerable and honest with your emotions. And that's something that I admire about you, because 8 years post-op, I'm still not there yet. I'm still the very hardened exterior. I'm not the emotional person. I don't even know at this point what it takes to make me cry. It's very, very rare. I'm not saying this is a challenge for you to accept. But I'm just saying, I think that is an aspiration. Like, and you're like, I'm further out. Like, so I think there's this expectation of people who are further out have more of the answers. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how far out you are compared to somebody else. There's always something to learn from somebody who's and even in the pre-op phase. So I need to learn your Juju Jedi mindset ways on finding balance, so I don't have mad RBF 24/7.
One, I don't think you have mad RBF 24/7, and
my husband thinks so.
That's what husbands do, right? But
yeah,
I like, look at you right now, right? You're hosting a podcast that brings so many people together and shows so much vulnerability. And I'm not sure if you realize it, but you sharing your stories while asking me questions is no different than what I'm doing. People perceive it and take it the exact same way. You don't need to cry to be emotional. You don't need to have physical signs or symptoms of breaking down that barrier to break down that barrier. And that's the hardest thing for people to understand. I will call people every once in a while and just tell them what's on my mind that I wouldn't tell anybody else except for like my wife. That doesn't seem like it's emotional or upsetting or being vulnerable, but maybe not to them. But to me, I'm like, I feel so much better just sharing that conversation because I
Yeah.
brought down those walls in the time that I needed to. I've always said there's a time and a place, and I feel like at work, when I put on my uniform and I see myself in uniform, it's like this motion of doing up the buttons is me putting on the shell that I need to put on for that day. And when I take it off, it's like, okay, now I can just let loose and let everything out if it needs to come out. And if it needs to come out, I'm going to let it because I'm not going to hold back anymore. And I've kept the same mindset when I'm doing my content creation and my videos and TikTok and YouTube, because I feel people need to see that, because I needed that
Right.
7, 8, 9, 10 months ago and I couldn't get it. And I don't want to be part of the reason why people that are in the shoes I used to be in can't find it either.
Yeah. And Kim brings up a good point. Like, you have to hang up your jacket at the door when you are home. You really truly have to separate your personal life and your professional life, because when they do coincide with each other, you can cause a lot of chaos in your own internal self. And I've let jobs get to me where you bring it home and it can break you down mentally. But a question I have for you that we haven't talked about this either.
Oh, yay.
So like we said, as somebody who was noticed for the wrong reasons, and you were bullied and you were picked on and you didn't have a lot of friends, to go from an entire group of people judging you based on how you look, and now all of a sudden you are being praised and adored, like almost on this daily basis, again, for like not just specifically how you look, obviously it's your heart too, but you're being noticed in a completely opposite way now. So how do you transition yourself mentally to handle this kind of attention you're getting now that you've never had your entire life before this?
When I get there, I'll let you know.
It's
true. That's an extremely hard question to answer for me, because I don't take kindness well, because I'm not used to receiving it yet.
Right.
Especially from people that I don't know. For example, when I met everybody at our bariatric meetup in London, and I met all these amazing people, and we were able to build this amazing foundation of like love and friendship, I mentally transitioned those people as family versus friends. Therefore, like, when I take information from them that's given to me, I genuinely accept it the way that it's said, versus I get 5-10 DMs a week being like, thank you so much. You've helped me so much. I love your video. I love your content. And my first initial thought when I read that is, okay, cool. You like my videos. It doesn't register yet that they don't like my videos. They like me. They like my story.
Right.
They like my information, that I'm genuinely helping them. It's really hard for me to kind of grasp that. And that's going to be a lifelong journey. And like Brett, yeah, 100% family. You're the brother that I never had, and I accept you more than you can ever even imagine. And I know it goes both ways. And I can say that
I want brothers too.
I'm right here.
Okay.
I'm right here. I said I'm going to come down to California. We're going to hang out.
You are. We're gonna plan a trip for sure. Number one, like, this is one thing that I absolutely love about the bariatric community is even like this episode specifically, like the amount of people that have come on and showed like amazing love and support for you, like literally warms my cold hearted exterior shell or whatever. Like, I love that people are so uplifting of each other. And one reason I think I might have to have you come on the show more often, because more people are watching than usual. So you're going to have to come on again.
Anytime.
And also, we have a lot of things that we're going to be working on together in the future.
Yes.
You and I have already talked.
Are.
And so what usually happens is we start shooting the shit for a while, and then you don't realize an hour has almost come up. So there's a couple questions I want to make sure that we get to before we run out of time. Question number one, somebody who's watching this right now and they're like, who is this stud muffin on the screen right now? I am
Her
thinking
name's Sherry.
Somebody who's watching this right now and is on the fence about having surgery, or is maybe in the beginning stages of the process, or maybe they're soon after surgery and that 1 ounce sip is a little too much for them and they're struggling right now. What is some like words of advice that you can give to somebody who's in the very, very beginning stage compared to like where you are now?
If you're in the beginning stages of the bariatric community or bariatric surgery, then you know that your life's been hard. Your mindset's been hard. General everyday tasks are difficult. Your mindset is difficult. Your emotions are difficult. Thinking the thought of going to the gym and getting healthy is hard. Joining a bariatric community is hard. Having weight loss surgery is hard. Relearning your body from scratch from day one till, in my case, 7 months is hard. Choose your hard. Do you want to spend the rest of your life busting your ass every day and being in pain and emotional distress and a bad mindset because you haven't taken control and you're letting your body fail you and you're letting your mind fail you and you're going down this rabbit hole? It's hard. Getting off your butt and taking the reins and taking control of your life and fighting for a future that you can actually love and enjoy is hard. Choose your hard. And if you're having a hard time choosing your hard, come talk to me any day, because honestly, the most difficult decision I ever made in my entire life was to wait this long to have weight loss surgery and to get my life on track. Because if I didn't, if I would have done this sooner, could my life have changed for the better faster? Yes.
Yeah.
But everything happens for a reason. And if you're watching this right now, or you've seen my videos, or you've seen Sherry's videos, or anybody in this community that you've been drawn to, it's time. This is your sign. You've been getting signs every day when you open your TikTok and your Facebook and your Instagram, if you've been seeing us, because you're looking for us for a reason. You're looking for information for a reason, because you've already made your choice. You've made your decision. You're just looking for a reason to pull the trigger. And I'm here. I'm telling you right now that the best decision I ever made was to get this surgery and to join this community and to take control of my life. Pull the trigger. Get it done.
See, this right here is why we are besties, because I have been saying for years, I haven't been saying choose your hard, and MOBA might be stealing that, just letting you know, because people said we should. So we're going to collab with that. But the biggest thing that I've ever told people for the last 8 years is the hardest part of overcoming obesity or overcoming any obstacles you're facing is making the single decision that you want change. I think the hardest part is convincing yourself that you're ready for the change. Because once you've made the decision, I do feel it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be ebbs and flows. But once you make the decision, the hardest part is done. Now it's just, you just need the action plan. You just need the structure. You just need the tools and the advice on how to get there. But so many times in life, we are constantly like in a shitty situation, or we're not happy with ourselves, and we spend so much time complaining. I cried in a lot of dressing rooms in my past, but not every time I cried in that dressing room, it was never what I need to do something different. It was just, woe is me. Nothing's going to fit. But once you make the decision that it's time, I might not know how to get there. I might not know all the answers, but the decision's been made, and the rest is just going to be downhill after that, or up, in a positive way. And so I love that you kind of just coincided with that. That's
and right. If you're looking for this community, you've already made your choice. And if you're looking for your sign to take a step in the right direction, if you're watching this right now, guess what? This is your sign. If you've seen my videos and you're following me, or you're following anybody in this community, you're following them for a reason, because they're your sign. Take it and run with it and get your life back. Take control over your life. Enjoy your life again. Fight for it. It's hard, but it's worth it.
I feel like that should be a slogan. Like, I feel like you're just like spewing out slogans like left and right now.
As I said, me and MOBA, we're going to collab.
We're going to do so much shit together. You have no idea.
No, I do. I told you this yesterday. We're going to be doing so much work together. It's going to be crazy.
Dude, I'm so smurfing excited. Which, like we're basically out of time, and I don't even know how to like leave off, because number one, I feel that you have brought so much true value to people listening right now. You've had so many amazing like words of wisdom, and what it really boils down to in your situation, in your story, mindset is so important, and how it's going to dictate what the next chapter is going to be. And I love that you had a really shitty first act. It was a really shitty first act. But I love that the second act is so much better. I don't even think we're at the peak of it yet. I think this is just the beginning for you. And like, that's why I get excited being able to watch you and seeing like how you are continuously growing and kicking more ass. And the more like people that you are inspiring, like I'm just so I'm smurfing excited for you, man.
I'm so excited for myself, which is weird to say because it's something that I've never really said before. And that's just how my mindset's changing even more day by day. And I said this to you before too, like I'm super excited for you and your adventures and your business and every step that you're going to be taking in your life as well. And I look at the chat right now and like, you know, Kim, Jess, Brett, Misty, Heather, everyone that's been in here, Michelle, I see you in there too. Like everyone that I know that I've talked to, like you guys have touched me in such an like emotional, positive and motivational way. I can't even put it to words. And I wouldn't be where I am right now today if it wasn't for everybody in this chat. It wouldn't be if I wouldn't be able to be here if it wasn't for, you know, my wife, my parents, my dog, my like all the tools that I use on a daily basis to keep my head clear and to keep my mindset focused. Because I have bad days, I have good days, but it's all worth it. It's been a wild ride. It's been one hell of a journey, but we're just getting started.
I freaking love it. And I really do think that we are 100% a product of our immediate environment, and the people that we have in our immediate circles around us do help define and dictate the kind of people we are going to progress into. For people who are not following Mr. Mike on social media, on TikTok, do you want to tell everybody what your TikTok is?
Yeah, so if you follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it's at mcoudz, MCOUDZ. I'm slowly scaling to every platform, and it's just been a wild journey. And I would love to have everyone that's able to follow me come follow me and join my journey and jump on my lives. And you know, I think we're gonna have to schedule a Unzipped with Mike part 2.
Oh no, it's happening. Like I was going to tell you that like it's already assumed that you're going to come back because we need to have an update episode. Yes. I wasn't really going to ask you. I was just going to book it and be like, hey, you're coming on here on this day. Sure. And so also for people watching, if you want to be a guest on Unzip with Sherry, you can email me at info@sherryarcuria.com. You can go to the website, sherryarcuria.com. If you have additional questions for Mike that you want to make sure that we ask next time, make sure you send me a message, because like we just decided it's already happening. He's going to be coming back. Yes. And then, we always want to hear your feedback. So for those who are watching, make sure you spread the word and let people know. We go live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I changed the time recently. That's why I'm a hot mess. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. It's also available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, anywhere that you can go. I have been, pouring myself out onto all of the social media platforms for this show. And on that note, Mike, is there anything that you would like to add before we go today?
I'm going to end off the same way that I end off most of my videos. Take care of your mindset. Keep motivating yourself. Keep motivating others. The everyday madness you deal with is going to pass. Keep pushing forward. Never give up. Take care of yourselves. And I love you all so much.
And I love you. And thank you guys so much for watching. Shit show. And in the words of Mike, choose your hard.